Today, we are diving into something really special, SpaceX's fifth Starship launch.
It's pretty amazing.
This is not just any rocket launch.
No.
We are talking about the most powerful rocket ever built,
Yeah.
a vehicle designed to, make those sci-fi dreams of reaching Mars a reality.
Right.
And get this, they actually caught the massive booster rocket with the launch tower arms.
It's pretty wild. Like, when you see it, it's like, is that real?
Yeah.
Did that actually happen?
It's like chopsticks grabbing a skyscraper. It's absolutely insane. You've probably seen the headlines, but we're going deeper today. We're going to go deep on the tech, the implications, what this all means for the future of space travel.
Yeah.
So let's start with the elephant in the room. Or should I say, skyscraper-sized rocket in the sky? Starship itself.
It's big.
It's absolutely gigantic. Can you give us a sense of scale here?
Yeah, so Starship, it's 400 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
To put that in perspective, that is taller than the Statue of Liberty. And it's designed to carry like 100 tons of cargo and passengers to deep space.
See, this what blows my mind about this is that we're not just talking about, sending a little capsule up there. This is like hauling stuff.
Yeah. This is like like a moving truck to space.
Yeah. And let's unpack this reusability thing, because this is, I think, a game changer when we talk about space travel. Older rockets, they were essentially like expensive fireworks, right? They go up, they burn up, they're done. But Starship is designed to be reflown.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't throw away an airplane after one flight, right?
Right.
So Starship is built with that same concept in mind. It can return to Earth, land vertically, be refueled, and then launch again.
And so that obviously changes the game in terms of cost and how often we can do this.
Oh, absolutely. This reusability factor just dramatically reduces the cost of space travel. You can do more missions. It opens up space exploration to, possibilities we could only dream of before.
Yeah, absolutely. So Flight 5, this was the first time they actually attempted this chopsticks grabbing a skyscraper maneuver with the booster.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible to watch.
What exactly did we learn from that? I mean, because this is a brand new thing.
So this was a huge milestone for SpaceX. Remember, it was their first attempt at catching the booster, and it went off without a hitch. The way they did it was the booster used its engines to control its descent, and it lined up perfectly with those tower arms. It was a perfect example of engineering and physics working together.
And we can't forget about the Starship upper stage, right? This is also known as the ship. While the booster's getting all the attention down here, the ship successfully reached space, completed its own set of objectives. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so the ship, it's equally important. Even though this one wasn't designed to come back down to the ground, it went up into space, did these maneuvers, to test its capabilities in that really harsh environment outside of Earth's atmosphere. One of the things they were really looking at was how well the ship could handle the heat and pressure of coming back into Earth's atmosphere.
Right, because that's essentially a fiery doom dive.
Pretty much.
So what did the ship's journey back to Earth look like?
It splashed down in the Indian Ocean, which was the plan.
Okay.
This particular ship wasn't meant to land on the ground, but they got a ton of data on atmospheric reentry, which is super important for getting those future landings right.
So they were still learning, even with the splashdown.
Totally. Each flight is like another step forward.
What about the heat shield? I mean, that seems like a pretty make or break component when you're talking about surviving a trip back from orbit.
It's huge. And SpaceX really stepped up their heat shield game for this flight.
Because we're talking about, what, thousands of degrees?
Thousands of degrees, yeah. I think they spent something like 12,000 hours on the heat shield alone for this launch.
Really? Just the heat shield?
Yeah, just the heat shield, which goes to show how critical it is.
Wow.
They completely redesigned the thermal protection system. It's like, high-tech armor to keep the ship from burning up on re-entry.
Wow. So it's like heat-resistant tiles. What does that even look like?
Yeah, they've got these, they call them tiles. They're made of this, it's like a special ceramic material, and they've improved the design from previous versions. They even added extra protection to those flap structures, which, they have to deal with a lot of stress during re-entry.
Right. 12,000 hours just on that one part of the ship. I mean, that really highlights, we see the rocket go up, but the amount of work that goes into even just getting it up there is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, it's years of research and development.
But it's not just about getting Starship to space and back. This launch, it represents something way bigger, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It gets us closer to making humans multiplanetary.
That's right. So we're not just talking about space tourism here. We're not talking about like planting a flag on Mars and calling it a day. What kind of future is SpaceX envisioning with Starship?
It's about creating a transportation system for the solar system, something that can carry a lot of cargo, a lot of people, to the moon, to Mars, even beyond that. Think about the scientific research we could do. Think about the resources we might be able to utilize. We could even have humans living and working on other planets.
It's incredible. It sounds like science fiction, but we're watching it happen right now.
I know. It's really something.
And this vision isn't just a pipe dream, right? This is something they're actively working toward. In fact, Starship, it has a pretty important role to play in another space exploration program we hear a lot about.
You're talking about NASA's Artemis program?
Right, getting humans back on the moon.
Yep, establishing a permanent presence there.
Yeah.
And Starship is a big part of that plan.
So the same spacecraft that SpaceX is developing to get to Mars could be our ticket back to the moon.
That's the idea.
It's pretty amazing to think that the same technology could take us to the moon and Mars. Really shows just how ambitious SpaceX is.
Oh yeah, they're not messing around.
Yeah.
It's not about little steps. It's about completely changing how we see space travel. And the best part is, it's contagious. Their energy.
It's like they're pulling the future closer every time they launch one of these things. Makes you wonder what's next.
Well, this last flight, Flight 5, it was a huge deal.
Right.
But it's just one step. SpaceX is already getting ready for the next flights, always pushing further.
Now, more design tweaks, more testing.
Oh yeah, they'll keep refining the design, trying out new technologies, getting all that data from each launch.
So it's safe to say this isn't the last we'll hear about Starship.
Definitely not.
What are some of the big challenges they still got to figure out to make this whole Mars thing a reality?
Figuring out how to refuel Starship in space, that's a big one. For going to Mars, these missions, they could take years, right? They're going to need to refill those propellant tanks while they're up there.
Right.
It's a tough problem.
Yeah.
But knowing SpaceX, they'll find a way.
Right. No problem too big. It sounds like they're approaching this challenge with their classic "let's just do it" attitude.
Exactly. That's what's so exciting about following them. They're not afraid to try things that seem impossible. They're constantly innovating, pushing the limits. It's really inspiring.
It really is. So who knows what incredible engineering feats they'll achieve next. One thing's for sure, we'll be here to break it all down with you when they do.
Sounds like a plan.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the future of space travel. Until next time, keep looking up.
And never stop dreaming.